welcome to Mr. and Mrs. Lumpy house. The Mr. and Mrs. Lumpy house. Lumpy's a house. Welcome back to Merseybeat Gardening. I'm in the kitchen today. As you can see, we've just had two storms coming through that have nearly knocked us off our feet. Coming through from the north of England and Scotland and places like that, and it's been really windy and cold outside. Catherine's outside now, and she's doing something in the garden, doing some gardening, and I'm here in the kitchen to talk about spuds, potatoes to you, tatties. I thought I'd tell you a bit about what potatoes we're growing this year and for what reason we're growing them. So all our potatoes have arrived today. We had a new arrival this morning, which are these. See, I'll talk about them in a minute. But first of all, these are our potatoes that were grown on the crop, and let's see what we've got here today. Most of these I've actually got from Wilko's, which are very favourably priced. They're all Scottish seed potatoes, by the way. They're grown in Scotland. Scotland is well known for the growing of seed potatoes, and really good quality potatoes they are too. So we tend to use them. There is a thought that you should chit your potatoes before putting them in the ground and stuff like that. I'm not really bothered, really. I don't know whether chitting actually does any good or not, but the only reason that I've got these potatoes now, which is probably a month before they go into the ground, we don't actually start planting them till March, usually till after the frost has gone, basically. They're not frost hardy, but the reason we start now in early February is quite simply because if I don't, they'll all be gone because people buy them up, and especially since we've had lockdown over the last few years as well. People have more gardeners out there and less produce to go around. So get your spuds in now. Get them ready. You can chit them if you like. There are many different ways of chitting potatoes. You can put them in egg boxes or on trays or whatever. Whether it makes any difference, well, that's debatable. These are pretty hardy. Spuds are pretty hardy, and you can just basically throw them in the ground and they'll grow. I don't know if you saw my vlog last year when I did a potato challenge kind of thing, where I used potato skins, and I grew some potatoes just from peelings, basically potato peelings. So they will grow in all kinds of conditions, and you can cut them up and they'll grow and they'll grow and they'll grow. So they're pretty hardy. So I'll just talk you through what we've got here today. We've got first one is this one, which is Casablanca, which is a good all-round seed potato, first early, and there's only a few tubers here. There's about 5 or 6 tubers, but I'm not planning on growing many of these. These are about £1.50 in Wilko, which is a good price, and I'll put them possibly in a tub or container. So that's a tub and container variety, Casablanca. Never grown them before. Next one is Jazzy. Again, £1.50 in Wilko. About 6 tubers, seed potatoes, and these are a secondary. Great for salad potatoes. Unlike Casablanca, which is a great all-rounder, this one particularly suited for salads. And again, they'll be going in a container, a small batch. That's all we need. This next one is Morris Pear, a brilliant potato, very popular, second early spud. Again, a bigger bag because these are going to go straight into the ground onto a prepared bed. You know, potatoes are very hungry crops, by the way. They like a lot of nutrients, a lot of organic matter to help them grow and fill out. They're very hungry in that respect. But these are good. These are good all-rounders. Great for chips, making chips and roast potatoes. Fabulous potato they are. I think we've grown them many years ago. We haven't grown them recently. Our next one is good old favourite. Great King Edward's potato, which again, that's a main crop. So that'll be going in a bed. I think there's about 30 tubers in these bags here. King Edward's was named after King Edward VII on his coronation in 1902. They're a heritage variety, and the reason they're still going today is because they're so reliable. They've got a great flavour. They're great keepers as well. You know, they keep over winter. They're great for storing and growing. They're really a reliable crop, and that's why this heritage variety is still popular today. So they're our main potatoes that we're growing this year. I want to show you this because, as you might see in the title of this video, it's called the Irish Lumper. This just arrived today from a place called the Potato House, which you can see there, which is, I think it's based in Scotland, the Potato House. There's about 6 tubers here. So I'm going to do a reveal today because I haven't actually seen these yet. So I'll just, they take about, if you can get these online, by the way, from the Potato House. It's the only place I've seen that sell lumper potatoes. But let's see what's it. This is a kind of piece of paper there telling us how to grow them. And there we go. In a little bag, which is nice. Lumper potatoes. Now, if you know anything about lumper potatoes, which I didn't until quite recently, when we were visiting the National Museum of Rural Life in Scotland, we went up to Glasgow. And I went into the exhibition there, and it showed you know, like you see these polystyrene versions of them on display, lumper potatoes, and that's the first introduction of the lumper. Didn't know what a lumper potato was until that time. But a lumper is, it looks, oh, that's a good look of it. There's about 6 potatoes here, so I'm going to grow these in a row and see how we get on with these. These were implicated in the Irish famine. You can see why it's called lumper, because it's all a bit lumpy. But this variety of potato virtually became extinct due to a virus that spread across the world. It actually came from Mexico, and then it spread to Europe, and in particular Ireland, and it was responsible. It was one of the main, between 1845 and 1852, was the main potato implicated in the Irish famine. Were basically, they rotted in the fields. They got this virus and they rotted in the fields. Over 1 million people died. Now imagine that, you know, that's like coronavirus of the potato world. It's a really bad thing. It's not particularly the potato's fault. The potato was just one of many potatoes that failed, and it's really due to the fact that Ireland at the time was very much a monoculture, where the poor people of Ireland depended upon a single crop, and that single crop failed. And when it failed over a number of years. Every year it got worse, and it's a bit like the tomato blight, what we've experienced recently is every year it seems to be getting worse, the tomato blight. Whereas before, a few years ago, we didn't suffer from tomato blight, but we have this year. But thankfully, we don't just rely on tomatoes to get us by, but the Irish people did. And over 1 million people succumbed to the blight, and they virtually starved to death, you know. And that was the start of the great migration of the Irish folk. And the country was changed forever. This potato, literally, I suppose you could say, was responsible for the change in landscape and the culture of Ireland. And the reason why there are 5 times more Irish descendants living in America than there are actually living in Ireland today. The Irish economy suffered. The British government, they didn't help at all. They blamed the poor people for their plight. And amazingly, what the British did to the Irish and how they treated them. You know, there was a part of the government, the British government, who said the only way that the Irish could get out of this was to work their way out of it. And have you heard of the term of a famine road? Famine road. Well, they actually made the Irish people, these starving, poor starving people, build roads to nowhere. And it was kind of like, these roads are still being excavated today, by the way, in Ireland. They're finding these roads that were built by poor Irish peasants because they believed that the Irish brought it upon themselves, this famine, this great famine. That's almost like saying, because you've died of coronavirus, it's your fault, you know. Is it really your fault? Whose fault is it, you know? You can't blame people for dying of something that's you know, that a natural occurrence, really. I mean, viruses are natural in the world, but these poor people, they were forced really to flee the country, and they went in all directions. And the poor Irish people, Ireland never recovered, and even to this day, they say that Ireland is not up to the numbers that it was pre-famine, because millions of people died and millions of people left the country. So this was implicated, the lumper potatoes, and they're only just becoming cultivated now after all these years. So I'm really pleased to have these to plant. So I'm going to over the this summer, we're going to document how these go. I got a few tubers just to see just to try them really, and see what happens. They're great little spuds, by the way. They've got a really sort of antique. Oh, there goes one. They've got a really antique feel about them. But so I'm gonna we're gonna grow these, see how they go. If we get a big enough crop out of them, I'll make a nice Irish stew at the probably at the end of this summer, and I'll share the results with you. So yeah, that's it. That's our vlog for today. I hope you've enjoyed this vlog. If you have, then please put these down. Please give us the thumbs up. Subscribe. Tell us about your potatoes. I'd like to know about what potatoes you're growing this year. And leave a comment. Ring the bell icon. Do everything else that you need to do on YouTube. And we'll see you back soon for another vlog. So thanks for watching, and see you soon. Bye.